Okay, so Thor Love and Thunder has been, up to this point, a serious tragedy because it had potential. Everybody was excited for it. I think up to the last moment, I think everybody was excited until the very last moment, and then they were like, uh oh. It could be a train wreck. I don't know. It felt that way. It truly did. At the very last moment, where we were like, oh, how's all these pieces going to fit together? And then when you watch the movie, you see they really don't fit together at all. Like, at all. And I think after watching this movie a few times, I found out the reasons why and how it could have worked. And I think it comes down to two significant things that Marvel should have done differently. I think they should have split these movies up. I think this should have been two movies. I think we should have had a Jane Foster movie. I think we should have had a Gore the God Butcher movie, and I think we should have never have had another Taika Waititi movie. You know, lightning strikes twice very rarely. Everybody loved Thor Ragnarok. It worked for Thor Ragnarok. But do we have to have Thor finding himself for four freaking movies? Like, it comes a time where the dude's like 40 and he's found himself like four times. How about we move past that part in his life? How about we do something different? You know, how about we let him grow up a little bit? You know, it's like the Rugrats that stay like two for like 30 years. You know, let's do something different, guys. Let's let them grow up. This isn't the Simpsons. This isn't the Rugrats. You know, you got so much time with Chris Hemsworth. Let's let him do something different. You know, and Taika Waititi, brilliant as he is, funny guy, really truly funny, maybe isn't the right choice for that. You want him to do a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, totally cool with that. Totally cool with that. But as far as Thor is concerned, like, how about we move on and allow him to take on a more serious role? Why does Thor have to... Why have we reserved Thor to be this comical, like, backseater now? Like, why has he taken a back seat to other main characters? When did he get to be a Guardians of the Galaxy type person? Like, how did we see that from Thor? You know, when we first saw him in the first original Thor, this really arrogant, you know, guy that was, you know, really impetulant, but he was, he had his funny moments, but he was also really brave and strong, and then all of a sudden he turned into it like a dope. He's like a complete and total idiot, and it's all because of Taika Waititi to a certain extent. And it really shows in this movie, and it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. It worked to a certain extent in Ragnarok. I'm not going to lie. It was decent in Ragnarok, but it wasn't going to work twice. He needs to grow up. He just needs to absolutely grow up. But to my point, when it comes to Thor, Love, and Thunder, let me tell you why I think this should have been two separate movies. Natalie Portman's Jane Foster, her fight with cancer. You didn't, you know, we talk about Marvel villains. Marvel is not known for strong villains. We had Thanos. Everybody else sucks. Let's just put it that way. Almost everybody sucks. No one remembers really hardly any villain off of, you know, anything. I mean, they're just bad. But you know what would have been an actually really sad villain that everybody would have remembered off of this Marvel film, off of this particular Marvel film? if they would have done it the right way, cancer. And as sad as that sounds, having a real life battle, her having a real life battle with something that we can all relate to, would have been a sad and tragic story. That for whatever reason, she's got stage 4, she's dying, and she has to take on this role of Thor. Mjolnir chooses her for whatever reason, and she has to do this to take on whatever villain. It doesn't have to be Gore. It could be a minor villain. But she has to do it for some reason. And during that reason, she reconnects with Thor. They have their love moments on screen. They reconnect. They find themselves, they have their moments. They have a whole movie to really reconnect with themselves and to go through the tragedy that is the life and the struggle of her battle that she will be facing, her imminent death, and trying to come to the realization that she has very little time. You cannot tell me that that would have been a worse movie than what we saw on screen. That would have been a tragic movie. That would have been a heartbreaking movie. That would have been probably one of the better MCU movies, the more tragic MCU movies, one of the more relatable MCU movies out there. Would it have had the stupid MCU comedy that we've all come to know? Probably not. Could have still had some scenes, but at the end of the day, it could have been something relatable, something that could have been really heartwarming, and something that could have really finished Jane Foster's character in a really heroic and tragic manner. But one that kind of just finished that circle a little bit, where she reconnected with Thor. She ended her life as a hero. She fought the good fight. She died a hero. She died a hero. That would have been a good movie. That would have been a good movie. Just even talking about it makes me tear up. Just even thinking about a movie that would be like that makes me tear up. I would love that movie if they would have done that. That could have made Thor be at peace, because he knows she's at peace. And he's a better man. He's finally not this silly Guardians of the Galaxy Thor anymore. He is the Thor that we saw back at the beginning of Thor 1. The powerful Thor again. The actual God Thor. And then we face him off against something like Gore the God Butcher. Instead of going the route that we went, we could have seen him go down more kind of how he did in the comics with Gore, where we see him, a backstory of him meeting Gore in his past, and he comes across a Native American god that had been killed by Gore, and barely escaping Gore back then, and then seeing the Thor back then, and then seeing this updated Thor, not the wild Thor from the past, but seeing the more godly, the more updated, the more manly, the more adult Thor of today. Seeing the difference between the two would have been a really cool updated version of that. to see that, to see how powerful he's become, to see what he is now compared to what he even was, to see really the culmination of all of his struggles and what he's become, and what all those struggles have left him as being. He's not a hollow man anymore. He's a man that is, or a God that is very capable, and capable of taking down somebody like Gore the God Butcher. That way, instead of, and somebody like a Christian Bale, you don't give Christian Bale a role like Gore the God Butcher and not give him time to be Gore the God Butcher. We got to see him kill one god. That's it. Like, are you kidding me? Like, that's it? Like, he's too good of an actor. He's too good of an actor, and that's too good of a character to see so little bit on screen. You need more. You can't have alternative storylines like what you saw in Thor Love and Thunder and not have, Gore's got a tragic backstory of himself. You have to showcase that. You cannot have these alternative storylines. You can't have a silly storyline to go with Gore the God Butcher. You can't have that. Don't work that way. You need an adult Thor to go with that. And that's why I say, if you had that, if you take away the Jane Foster storyline from that, and you take away the silliness, and you give Gore the time to showcase his talents, and Christian Bale the ability to showcase his talents, and you give Chris Hemsworth the ability to showcase this new updated Thor, and to allow him to see, okay, this is what he was and this is what he is now. And we get to see something new and different, and we get to see really powerful entities fight. We get to see something big on screen. That in itself would be cool to see. We don't even see that. If we did, that would have been a great MCU movie. It would have been a great MCU movie. But instead, what did we get? Taika Waititi. For all his strengths, Taika Waititi he's good at being funny, but you don't add Taika Waititi to storylines when it comes to cancer, or when it comes to Gore the God Butcher, whose storyline is his daughter died, and he's trying to kill all gods, and he's kidnapped children. Like, you literally had moments in Thor Love and Thunder when there's kidnapped children, and Thor is laughing about it with kidnapped children. Like, what are you talking about? Like, that is crazy. You don't have these moments like that. It doesn't, like, that's not realistic. That's not cool at all. It was out of place. It never should have happened. Taika Waititi was the wrong director for that. You could have had him for any other thing. You could have put him as, he would have been a great director for Guardians of the Galaxy. A terrible director for this particular Thor movie. Terrible director for this Thor movie. Terrible director for, like I said, if they would have broke these two movies up, they could have had two great Thor movies, with the Jane Foster cancer movie, where she reconnected with Thor and she fought her battle. And, it was a battle that we all can connect, that we all can understand. That would have been a powerful movie. Then you add this more complete Thor fighting Gore the God Butcher. Amazing movie you would have had, where you gave Christian Bale all the time in the world to be Gore the God Butcher, and you take out all the Taika Waititi comedy to it, been absolutely amazing. But you cannot have serious moments and then add that comedy to it. You just can't. It ruined the movie. It really did. It took me out of it. I kept going, what is going on screen? Like, I don't even want to laugh. Like, some of that in any other situation, I would have been like, oh, that's funny. But then I'm like, wow, that's some really sick moments, and like, I'm not laughing at this junk. Like, this is sick. This is twisted. So I'm like, yeah. I feel like if you would have broke those two movies up, I think you would have had really powerful Marvel movies. You would have had a really powerful Jane Foster movie. You would have had as the Mighty Thor. You would have had a really powerful Gore the God Butcher movie. And if you would have just not had Taika Waititi come back, that would have been good, and broken those two up. That's would have been my plan if I was Marvel. Marvel didn't go that way. They want to go a different way. I understand it. Hey, they're the smart ones. They're the ones that make all the millions of dollars. What do I know on it? All I'm saying is, as a fan, that's personally what I would have done. But anyways, guys, let me know what y'all think. Do you think I'm crazy when I say that? Do you think that any of that I just spoke has any merit whatsoever? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. Y'all take care.